Riddle 106. 1. When South America fought for its independence from Spain, I was there. 2. I went on many campaigns with Simón Bolívar. 3. I served in the cavalry and earned the rank of colonel. 4. When assassins tried to kill Bolívar, I saved his life. 5. My role in South America's struggle for independence is still underestimated. 6. I was much more than Simón Bolívar's girlfriend. 7. Are you surprised that I was a woman? 8. Near Quito, Ecuador, where I was born, there is an impressive statue of me. 9. In 2007, the Ecuadorian president promoted me to Honorary General of the People's Republic of Ecuador. 10. In 2010, I was given a full state reburial in Venezuela. 11. Have you ever heard of me? I'm Riddle 107. 1. I was a teacher at a school for the deaf. 2. While exploring ways to help the deaf hear, I had another idea. 3. Why couldn't voices travel over a wire from one place to another? 4. Thomas Watson, my assistant, and I experimented with ways to send voices through a wire. 5. On March 19, 1876, I sent a message by wire to my assistant. 6. I said, "Mr. Watson, come here. I need you." 7. Watson excitedly rushed to where I was and exclaimed, "I heard you." 8. My invention, the telephone, changed people's lives. 9. By 1917, nearly all of the United States had telephone service. 10. My name is Riddle 108. 1. During my time, only men were allowed to go to college in Poland. 2. Women had to go to France. So that's what I did. 3. I married a scientist, and we worked together. 4. Our most important discovery was radium. 5. The rays from radium are what doctors now use to treat cancer. 6. My husband and I received a Nobel Prize for our work. 7. I was the first woman recipient of this prestigious award. 8. Pierre, my husband, died when I was 39, and I continued our work alone. 9. I became the first woman professor in France, and also won a second Nobel Prize. 10. My work with radium ruined my health, and I died of cancer in 1934. 11. My name is Riddle 109. 1. Let me introduce you to a national hero, Mustafa Kemal. 2. He was born in Greece in 1881 as the Ottoman Empire was on the decline. 3. After World War I, the Ottoman Sultan wanted to accept foreign occupation. 4. This man had a different vision for the future: independence. 5. On May 19, 1919, the War of Independence began. 6. This pasha, or general, wanted to replace the monarchy with a republic. 7. By 1922, all invaders had been driven out, and the Sultan had fled. 8. This man's vision was to secularize and westernize his country. 9. Although his name at birth was Mustafa Kemal, his countrymen gave him a new name. 10. It means Father of the Turks. 11. The world knows this leader by that name. Riddle 110. 1. I grew up in poverty on the wrong side of the tracks. 2. One day, while racing a friend, I fell and hurt my knee. 3. It became infected, and I got blood poisoning. 4. The doctor wanted to amputate my leg, but I refused. 5. My brother guarded my door to prevent the doctor from entering. 6. My mother was a pacifist and always hid my books on war battles and heroes. 7. When I went to West Point Military Academy, she cried. 8. I became the Supreme Commander of Allied forces in Europe during World War II. 9. I was a 5-star general in the U.S. Army and was in charge of the D-Day invasion. 10. I held only one political office, the Presidency of the United States. 11. My nickname was Ike, but my name was Dwight David Riddle 111. 1. When she sang in Europe and Scandinavia, she was welcomed at the best hotels and restaurants. 2. In her own country, the United States, she had to live with racism. 3. Even her impressive voice didn't make her immune to discrimination. 4. After her debut at Carnegie Hall in 1928, she performed for mostly black audiences. 5. In 1939, she wasn't allowed to perform at Constitution Hall in Washington, D.C. 6. President Roosevelt's wife, Eleanor, was outraged. 7. She arranged for a performance on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. 8. A crowd of 75,000 showed up for the performance, and millions of radio listeners tuned in. 9. Even though she preferred to avoid segregation issues, she became a symbol for her fellow African Americans. 10. In 1955, she became the first black performer with the New York Metropolitan Opera. 11. This unforgettable contralto was Riddle 112. 1. She was born in Alabama in 1913. 2. Growing up, she knew a world of prejudice and segregation. 3. She was a simple woman who did not attract a lot of attention. 4. However, she was what people in the South call a steel magnolia. 5. In 1955, the entire world noticed her. 6. Overnight, she became a civil rights icon. 7. She did something that triggered a bus boycott that dominated world headlines for over a year. 8. This woman was arrested for refusing to give her seat on a bus to a white passenger. 9. Her courage paved the way for Martin Luther King Jr. to become a powerful civil rights leader. 10. She is known as the mother of the civil rights movement. 11. Her name is Riddle 113. 1. Professional sports in the United States used to be segregated. 2. When I began my career in 1945, I played for the Negro Baseball League. 3. In 1947, the president of the Brooklyn Dodgers asked me to play for his team. 4. The Dodgers were one of 16 top professional teams. 5. When I put on a Dodger uniform, I broke the color barrier. 6. Because of racism, I was under much scrutiny and endured insults from fans and other players. 7. At the end of my first year, I was named the National League's Best New Player, Rookie of the Year. 8. In 1949, I was the National League's MVP, Most Valuable Player. 9. I became the first African American inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. 10. Have you ever heard of me? I'm Riddle 114. 1. I was born in Ohio and was only the second person in my family to attend college. 2. After graduating, I joined the Navy and served in the Korean War. 3. I have been a U.S. naval aviator, a test pilot, and an astronaut. 4. My career as an astronaut began in 1957. 5. My first flight into space was on Gemini 8 in 1965. 6. I later became part of the Apollo program to send a man to the moon. 7. I orbited the moon in Apollo 8. Then I became the commander for Apollo 11. 8. On July 16, 1969, I became the first man to set foot on the moon. 9. I'm Riddle 115. 1. I was born into a very wealthy family in a very poor country. 2. I never thought I'd be a politician, and in fact, I always said I was a plain housewife. 3. My life changed when I married a popular politician. 4. He was critical of our president, who was really a dictator. 5. After my husband was assassinated, I emerged as the opposition leader. 6. I helped topple Ferdinand Marcos and became an icon of democracy. 7. I became the first female president and helped create a new constitution for our new democracy. 8. My administration emphasized civil liberties and human rights. 9. I survived 7 coup attempts. 10. You may remember my trademark yellow dress. 11. I'm popularly known as Corey. My name is Riddle 116. 1. I was born in 1940 in Kenya. 2. As a child, I developed a love of trees. 3. Girls in Kenya rarely received an education. 4. I was lucky and studied in the United States and Germany. 5. Upon my return to Kenya, I founded the Green Belt movement to plant trees and conserve the environment. 6. My pro-democracy activism was not popular with my government. 7. I was called a crazy woman and was targeted for assassination. 8. In 2002, I won a seat in Parliament with an overwhelming 98% of the vote. 9. I was the first East African woman to earn a Ph.D. 10. I was the recipient of the first Nobel Peace Prize awarded to an African woman. 11. Who knows who I am? I am Riddle 117. 1. While I was studying for a Ph.D. in physics at Oxford University, I was diagnosed with ALS. 2. ALS is a fatal disease and weakens all the muscles in the body. 3. Although I became severely paralyzed, I became a professor at Cambridge University. 4. ALS doesn't affect the mind, so I was able to do research on how the universe began. 5. My most famous ideas are about black holes, very dense areas in space. 6. As my disease progressed, I needed a lot of money for my medical expenses. 7. Someone suggested I write a book that explained the universe. 8. I wrote a brief history of time and became a millionaire. 9. I can speak only by using a computer. 10. People say that I'm the greatest physicist since Albert Einstein. 11. Do you know that my name is Riddle 118, 1. I fought for democracy and condemned human rights violations. 2. Sometimes people who fight for their beliefs live tragic lives. 3. My father, the Prime Minister of my country, was hanged. 4. One brother was mysteriously murdered, and the other was assassinated. 5. In 1988, I became the first woman Prime Minister of a Muslim state. 6. I was removed from office on charges of alleged corruption. 7. I was re-elected in 1993, but removed from office again on similar charges. 8. During my life, I was repeatedly on house arrest, in prison, or living in exile. 9. In October 2007, I returned to Pakistan to become the Prime Minister again. 10. In December 2007, I was assassinated. 11. My name is Riddle 119. 1. It was just before World War II, and the U.S. military was strictly segregated. 2. We weren't allowed to serve our country as military pilots. 3. No one believed we were smart enough to fly an airplane. 4. Then, in 1940, President Roosevelt ordered the development of an all-Negro unit of pilots. 5. Our squadron trained at Tuskegee Institute in Alabama. 6. We were sent to North Africa to fly escort for bombers. 7. We had to fight the Nazis and also discrimination, but our combat record speaks for itself. 8. It was much later that we received credit for a job well done. 9. Many of us received awards and medals. 10. Have you ever heard of us? We were the first African American military pilots. 11. We are proud to be called the Riddle 120. 1. He was a fierce warrior during wartime, but a gentleman during times of peace. 2. His name means those who serve. 3. He wore his hair tied back in a top knot and shaved his brow and crown. 4. He became powerful in the 1200s. 5. His skills were the basis of modern martial arts. 6. He had many weapons to use and always wore armor. 7. His most famous weapon was a pair of matching swords. 8. He lived by Bushido, a strict code of conduct, honor, and duty. 9. Disgrace for him was worse than death, and he would give his life for his master. 10. By the 1870s, his way of life was outdated, but he and his sword are lasting symbols of Japan. 11. He was one of the Riddle 121. 1. I am not a very hospitable place because I am very hot and dry. 2. I was once 134 degrees Fahrenheit, and that was in the shade. 3. I'm 282 feet below sea level, the lowest point in the Western Hemisphere. 4. In spite of my appearance, I'm not just sand and rocks. 5. I'm a place of spectacular beauty. 6. I'm home to 55 species of mammals, 32 kinds of birds, 36 kinds of reptiles, and 3 kinds of amphibians. 7. I also have water, but I keep it well hidden. 8. Humans have lived here for 9,000 years. 9. In the 1800s, many pioneers and explorers died trying to cross me to reach the West Coast. 10. That's how I got my name. Riddle 122. 1. I was built in Washington, D.C. as a memorial to a United States president. 2. Construction began in 1914 on February 12, this president's birthday. 3. I look like a Greek temple and have 36 columns. 4. The columns represent the number of states at the time of this president's death. 5. Inside there is a large white marble statue of the president sitting in a chair. 6. Many famous speeches have been given at my site. 7. This is where Martin Luther King, Jr. gave his I Have a Dream speech. 8. There is a picture of me on the back of the $5 bill. 9. The president's portrait is on the front. 10. Which memorial am I? Riddle 123. 1. In Venezuela, there's a place of breathtaking beauty. 2. Water plunges over the edge of a mountain from a height of 3,212 feet. 3. In one place, it falls for an uninterrupted 2,648 feet. 4. Much of the water evaporates before reaching the ground below. 5. It's the world's highest waterfall. 6. During rainy months, it can split into 2 or more waterfalls. 7. It's named after a U.S. aviator who was the first person to fly a plane over the falls. 8. This waterfall is a famous landmark and is a top tourist attraction. 9. Its location in an isolated jungle makes it difficult to reach. 10. The heavenly name of the falls is